Okay, so I'm going to go over my Excel outputs and what I'm submitting for this project. Obviously I did all of the journal entries in the Smithville application before. I don't think I have to go through those in detail. I'll just go over like the outputs and what I'm actually submitting. So the first thing is this post-closing trial balance. So after I did all of the entries, including the closing entries, I exported this from Smithville. So this is like directly an export from the application. My total amount you can see was off by this 12,050 or sorry, 1,250. I couldn't really figure that out, so I just proceeded anyway. So it is off a little bit, but these are all my account balances. And then using this one that Smithville gave, I made a balance sheet. And for this balance sheet, I followed a format from, I think it was like 4-4 in the textbook. And I just pulled these accounts from the trial balance, put them into like asset, liability, fund balance, etc. And just added those up. And this is my balance sheet. I did have the correct number for total assets. And then these balanced as well. So I made that one. And then this one for C was another output from Smithville. So I just exported this directly from the application and it gave me this. And then I used this one to create the next couple statements. So I created this statement of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. And I just pulled directly from like the revenues and expenses here. So I could make this and just ignore the estimates for now because this is like an income statement. So I ended up with total revenue, expenses, and then after considering the interfund transfers out from that loan to a different fund, which is I think like the last journal entry before the closing, I ended up with 23,372 for my change in fund balance. And then using this one and this operating statement account balances that had the estimates, I made this this statement of revenue expenditures, but it was like budgeted versus actual. I believe this was 4-6 in the textbook, and this one was 4-5. So that's where I got the format from. And I just took these actual amounts from my previous statement of revenues, and then the budgeted amounts were on the general subsidiary ledger. And then this column is just the difference of actual and budgeted. So I ended up with this amount, 25,139 for the fund balance variance, but then you can see when I had to account for the transfer out, it was a little bit off. So I'm not sure if that was correct or not, but that's what I made for that one. And then the last one was just the expenditure reconciliation. I just looked at the format at the very bottom of the page below 4-6. They had this little expenditure reconciliation. So I pulled the numbers from previous statements. I'm not super confident if those are correct, but I believe the format is. Yeah, so I just copied the textbook format on that one. And I think that's everything I'm turning in. So that's it.